Hello and welcome to Tom's Hardware, the podcast, episode 164 for February 13th, 2024. Nearly said 2023 then, that'd have been a mistake. My name's Les Pounder, Associate Editor, and with me as always is Ash Hill, our Raspberry Pi expert. Avram is currently shoveling snow. He may drop in a little bit later on, but if not, don't worry, Avram, be careful out there, it's a bit icy. So, no guest tonight, but it means we can talk about all the projects, all the wonderful things that we've had happen in the past week or so. So I'm going to start because I've got a lot of stuff over here. So I was off last week. I had a holiday. And during that holiday, a parcel arrived, unbeknownst to me. And inside that parcel, it's like Christmas. Argon 40 had sent me all of this in one parcel. This is all of its Raspberry Pi 5 lineup, all the accessories, all the gear that you can get to keep your Pi 5 cool. So I'm going to go through it pretty quick. It's a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
It's the duplication. Let's be honest. Some of these are duplicates. So we have two there. One is silver,
those are the
one
same,
is
they're not
black.
variants.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we have. I'm going to go with the big boxes first. So the Argon Thermal 60 RC. So this is a cooling unit. So similar to the 52 Pi muscle car air intake cooling system you can get. This is Argon's version. So I'm going to get the black one out. I've pre-opened some of these, just so I'm not fumbling around on camera. So I do know that everyone wants me to get through this as quick as possible, because Ash's bit is a lot more interesting than mine. There we go. This is like an unboxing video. Now it should be unbox therapy doing this, but you suck with me, sorry. Look at that slab of beautiful aluminium, or aluminum for American friends. That is lovely. So looking at it, got two copper heat pipes there, and this is just going to connect to the SoC, the system on chip, the CPU, the ARM processor. There's nothing there for the PMIC, the power management system, or the RP1 chip, which is sort of the south bridge for the Pi 5. So that means the CPU is going to be nice and cool, but the PMIC does run a bit. Yeah, the PMIC runs warm, and so does the RP1. So let's give this a good test. This is going to go for a benchmark. I've got a lot of stuff to benchmark now. Let's just put this back in its box. And we're not going to put it completely in the box because that'll take up so much precious time on the show. So that's that one as well. That's out of the way. We have got Argon's own power supply. So this is a gallium nitride power supply, GaN charger, 27 watts. So that should match the output of the official Raspberry Pi 5 charger. Fingers crossed.
27 watt USB-C power supply is what I got.
Yeah. So it's the same wattage. So when you plug in a power supply to it, if you don't put an SD card into a Pi 5 and you just put power to it and HDMI, it will tell you whether or not it's an official charger. So it will say Raspberry Pi 5 charger or words to that effect. If you put in a Pi 4 charger, it will say, this is a Pi 4. It's not an official, it's not the new one. So I want to see what happens when I plug this in. Does it say it's happy? Does it say it's going to get all the power? Because if you don't have all the power for a Pi 5, sometimes the USB ports won't supply as much power to peripherals. So if you've got a hungry piece of hardware connected to USB, it may not get all the power that it needs. So I'm going to test that as well. That's interesting, that one. Other things we've got, Argon 1 V3 and the Argon 1 V3 NVMe. They're pretty similar. So you've no doubt seen these cases from Argon. They've been around for a while now. I'll try and get this lid off. There we go. You give access to GPIO, but your Pi goes inside. And they come in SATA versions, NVMe, and then ones just have nothing inside, just the Pi, really. They also look like props from The Expanse, which I think is pretty cool. So these are the new ones for the Pi 5. So in the past, I've used these with Pi 4, and they keep the Pi 4 nice and cold. It's a mix of passive cooling, using the whole case as a heatsink, and also active cooling with a fan inside. The same is going to be true for this one. And that's just your standard one there. It also has an RP2040 inside it, which I don't know where it uses it. I'm going to have to do some digging on that. I can't take it fully apart, or can I? This is where I really should have prepped before the show, shouldn't I? But it's been a busy day.
All the fun's happening off camera.
It is. There we go. So it says there's an RP2040 in there somewhere. So there's a USB-C port there. Oh, does that come off? Yes, it does. What it will do when I pull this. Bear with me, I'm scanning it as quickly as possible to find where the RP40 is. RP2040. Can't see one directly. It could be inside the motherboard here, but I need to take that off with a screwdriver. That would be something for the review. But perhaps it uses an RP2040, some sort of rudimentary motor controller for the fan, like temperature control.
That'll be neat to figure out.
Yeah. This again, got a cooling fan, got NVMe storage, so it's another NVMe PCIe drive to test in here. I've tested the NVMe base from Pimoroni and the Pineberry Pi ones as well. That's going to be fun. And this is one I've tested already. We've got a review of that already on Tom's Hardware. The Neo 5. This is the bread, black and red, but they call it bread for some reason. Very nice case. That's the black version. There's the one with NVMe. You can tell I'm whipping through these now, can't you? That's got NVMe inside it, so I've got some more storage options. And these two little things here are very interesting to me. So the Pi 5 needs active cooling to keep cool, obviously. This is Argon's version of the official cooling unit. So let's get this out of the case. Sorry, it's off camera. Won't be a second. It's just hard to open this because it's a very small box. There we go. I'm back on camera. Oh, that's nice. Let's hold it the right way up. There we are. That is nice. So it's a black. Yeah, you've got the official on there, Ash. Nice. That's just a lovely matte black cooler there. It looks very similar. It uses the same connection for the fan, which is bespoke for the Pi 5. Got a nice bit of aluminium there and a blower. And it uses the same screws that to fix into the case, into the Raspberry Pi 5 motherboard using plastic barbs. That's very interesting. Now, all of this is going to be reviewed on Tom's Hardware. It's going to take a while, so I've got a lot to get through on this. But
it'll be neat to see them benchmark to see if one of them might be a little bit cooler than the other.
That's it, yeah. It's comparing it against what we've had previously. So we've had cases from EDA Tech, which were those great massive chunks of aluminium, which passively cooled the Pi. We've had the Argon Neo 5 case already. And there's one more case that I tested out, the official case as well, which can also have a fan inside it. There you go. They all do a decent job of keeping the Pi 5 cool. But it's interesting to see all of these different aftermarket products coming out now, because the Pi 5 was sort of thrown on the market at the end of last year, and everyone was like, "Hey, where did that come from?" We thought there was no Pis until 2024.
People were still waiting for their Pi 4s to come in.
Yeah. So case manufacturers will have gotten wind of this a bit earlier than everyone else, and they would have been making their equipment. But it just sort of shocked us all as to what was coming out. And now we're getting the fruits of all that labor are coming out. We've got new toys to play with. So yeah, there will be reviews very, very soon. Just give me time to do the testing properly.
Speaking of new toys, that reminds me of something cool I wanted to share with you.
Yeah.
We posted about this a few weeks ago on Tom's Hardware, but I thought it would be really neat to talk about because we've seen, of course, the one of the biggest features to come with the Pi 5 that people are most excited about is the PCIe support. And we've seen a few hats, official and otherwise third party, that make it easy to connect an SSD to the Pi. But this hat allows you to connect to. No, that's not the right thing. 1 second. This hat lets you connect to, there we go, SSDs to the Raspberry Pi. And I thought that was pretty cool because I hadn't seen one of those yet.
That is cool. I mean, 2 NVMe drives in a Raspberry Pi form factor. It's just slightly bigger than a hat, but by no means is it grotesque in its size. It's perfect. Good size, that.
And it's like full 20. Well, I say full size. I'm thinking 22 M2 2280s.
Yeah, which are quite common and cheap to pick up these days. I mean, I've got an addiction now to picking up cheap NVMe storage, and I've now got a couple of 2 terabytes and one 4 terabyte SSD.
I think this is stackable. Yeah, it's stackable. That's another benefit. That it's stackable. I didn't really take note of that whenever I put this together.
So you
And
could
then,
use a hat on top of it as well.
or just connect something off to the side. Because
Oh,
I mean,
nice.
the whole point of doubling up the SSDs, you're not going to get twice the speed, but you will get twice the storage capacity. So if you wanted to use it with something like this other thing I wanted to share in NAS, that might be up your alley. This, I think, actually, Les, you came across this morning. It's a 3D printable case for a Raspberry Pi 5 network access storage device. And it's designed with the Pi 5 in mind, which is why we were excited. But I like it also because it has options for the Pi 4 and Pi 3, because not everybody can get a hold of the latest Pi. But whatever you've got on hand, you can recreate this at home. And it's got a little OLED screen on the side so you can see what's going on. Port extenders so you can access HDMI and power and everything like Ethernet from the outside. You don't have to take it apart to do basic connections. And it looks just really clean inside.
Yeah,
well, I think, little cable spaghetti, but it's good.
That's fine. You only see that when you're going inside to add a new drive anyway. But again, it shows how useful 3D printers are now. So 10 years ago, we were looking at 3D printers and we're printing trinkets. And you're right, 5 years ago, I was doing that as well. But now we've got devices that we can pick up for about $200 to $400 that produce exquisite quality prints. And we can put them to work building all sorts of wonderful things. And this isn't, an illustration of that, because this entire enclosure can be printed on a standard print bed. So I did a test with Prusa Slicer with the STL file for this, and it would print in one go on my Elegoo Neptune 3 Pro. So that's ace. All right, it's going to take 26 hours to do it and use a lot of filament, but we can do it.
It's doable.
Yeah, but 5-10 years ago, that would have been a $1,000 machine doing that, and the quality wouldn't be as good.
It's neat to see the bar change.
Yeah, very much so. So leading on now, we've got another toy to play with. So I got this yesterday morning very, very quickly. I had to do I sort of understand how it all works. So you'll have seen some press today about Flipper Zero, the hacker tool that everyone's been using for the last few years. It was a Kickstarter about 4 years ago, remember rightly, 2020. And it's a tool that has RFID, NFC, and it can be used as a learning and educational tool for learning security auditing or pen testing. Yes, it can be used for nefarious stuff as well, if that's, your proclivity, but, it's a tool there to help you learn how to become more security conscious. And if you want to get a job doing pen testing or becoming a security advisor, you'll use tools like this in your day-to-day job. I got an email to say they're bringing out something with a Raspberry Pi attached to it. And I thought, hey, this is a tiny little device that sticks in your hand. They went, no, it's this as well. So we have the video game module. Let's do the YouTuber trick to get it in focus. There we go. On top of here, so there's a Flipper Zero. On top is a Raspberry Pi Pico RP2040, which is outputting over HDMI. It has a built-in accelerometer and gyroscope, GPIO, and it can be used to output video signals, or even with that GPIO there, to create a very basic 200 kilohertz oscilloscope.
Neat.
It's great. So it's $49 for that thing there. That's about $180 if memory serves. That's £179. So that's expensive, but as a tool you're going to be using for your work as security auditor or in research, that's not a massive amount of money. But I was interested in this. So
is that HDMI output on top?
It's DVI. They can't call it HDMI due to licensing issues. You can only call it HDMI if you have the license to say you have HDMI on your products.
Got it.
Flipper Devices did a tweet. I'm going to put this down now so it's getting in the way. Did a tweet earlier today talking about that, in fact. So I was messing around with this. I'm completely noob to this. I'm not a elite hacker or anything like that. That's about as much as I know about hacking. I'm not. I may have the black hoodie on, but I'm not a elite hacker.
You just have to put the hood up and start hacking the mainframe, and then it's on.
That's it. I can't even do that. Hang on. I can now. That just looks like a bad Obi-Wan Kenobi impersonation. Let's stop that. So Flipper Zero is a really simple to use piece of kit. So I've got a web shop open of all the community apps that I can use with Flipper Zero. So I can download apps straight to it. This is connected over USB serial. And I've got some software already installed. You can see I've got Doom installed. I've got official firmware for the video game module, so I can show you that in a moment. You can install T-Rex Runner, so I'll do that now. Cursor the live demo. Let's see if it works. So that's installed. So now that software is installed. So I can go to the video game add-on, and you can see that's actually live, the flipper. So I've got... There you go. You can see the little dude in the corner, who I've just learned is named after the dolphin in Johnny Mnemonic, the Keanu Reeves movie from the late 90s. Did not know that. So I've got all the apps here, so I can read RFID cards, NFC, infrared. I've got it set up with my television. I can control the GPIO, I button, which is like building access control, bad USB. Yes, it can run bad USB scripts to make it appear that it's doing stuff, and other nefarious things like keyloggers. But I'm more interested in apps right now. So I'm going to go down to games, and let's do T-Rex Runner. And I don't know how you play it, but we're going to see. Yeah, there we go. You can play T-Rex Runner on your Flipper Zero. We can also play Doom. Remember, this is all live coming out the HDMI feed. So let's cue this up. And I'm going to put this near to the mic so you can hear the music. Yep.
That sounds great.
There we go. So I can play Doom, a basic version. Now watch me get absolutely destroyed because I've got no idea where I'm going. This is the second time I've played it. I've got no idea what the maps are like or where the demons are. Or clearly I don't know how to control it either. Come on. So I've got a slight bit of lag, not much. Probably a fraction of a second. That's me shooting. Let's test the lag. I'm going to press shoot in 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's a bit of lag. But we also have games such as Argonoid. Now, anyone of a certain age will know what Argonoid is. It's that game from the arcades in the 80s. I remember playing this. Now, this is all control using the gyroscope accelerometer. So it does take a little bit getting used to because I've got wires everywhere. But if I tilt this, you can see it's controlling. And I'm really bad at it. Because I've got a bit of lag. There we go.
It
But I
just
can leave it like that.
I used to play Kirby Tilt and Tumble on the Game Boy Advance, and I think there's a flaw in having the screen be a part of the control input that you have to move, especially if it's hard to see the screen. Because I didn't have anything to illuminate my Game Boy Advance screen unless I was sitting under a lamp, and if you tilt it the wrong way, you get the glare.
Yeah, I remember that. The struggle was real back then.
Oh, yeah.
So we can use this, the video game module, without Flipper Zero. So if you just want to mess around with RP2040 in a different form factor, you can pick up one of these $49 and you can program it using the USB-C connection there. And it's got a boot and a reset pins there. Treat it as a normal RP2040. Use MicroPython, use C++, hack around, make something cool. There's an oscilloscope firmware for this that you can flash onto it, connect it up to your phone using USB-C cable, run some software on your phone, and you've got a very basic but portable oscilloscope to debug some problems on the go.
That's
I
useful.
think it's a great idea. So I'm going to be playing around with a bit more on this. There's going to be a review of this as well on Tom's Hardware. And we've also got, coming up next week, the Flipper Zero team are going to be on the show. We'll be talking
cool.
all about Flipper Zero and this module. So that should be fun. But yeah, we have a lot of stuff. In fact, I've got a lot of stuff to review. What is it? 6 or 7 things to review. So that's the next month and a half of reviews sorted for me. That'll keep me busy.
Got your work cut out for you.
Yeah, definitely. But it looks like Avram's not going to be joining us today because it looks like the snow has beaten him. So I think we're going to call it quits for this week and come back next week with our guests. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Ta-da.